Hi guys, I'm Melany, and this is the second part of a 4-part series for complete beginners. So if you were able to do the video from last week a couple more times, that's great. If not, don't worry. We're going to be using the same yoga poses and building some new ones in, and then also adding a small sequence. So if you have a yoga mat, again, that's great. If not, workout shoes are going to work. So let's get started. We're going to start in mountain pose again, where the feet are hip-width apart and parallel. Bring your awareness in the feet. Really feel the bottoms of the feet. Feel each of the toes. And then move your awareness up to the knees. We're going to pull up on the kneecaps just to activate those thighs. The tailbone is reaching towards the mat, stomach engaged, chest open, and the fingertips are reaching towards the mat. So we're really strong and stable here. Then close your eyes and stay here for just a couple breaths. Maybe notice how your weight changes between the feet, how it's distributed. And then open up your eyes slowly. So that was mountain pose. We're going to move into some half sun salutations to warm up the body. So with your next inhale, I want you to raise your hands up over your head, bringing the palms together, reaching the fingertips up. With the exhale, bring the hands down, come into a forward fold with a long back. We're going to bend the knees a little bit too. Inhale, press the feet in the mat, raise the upper body, lift the arms up, reach up, and exhale, come right back down into the forward fold. Once you get all the way down, let the head get heavy. And then inhale, lift up, lead with the heart, reach up, and one more time, press the palms down. Bring the fingertips to the mat with bent knees. Exhale everything out. Inhale, come back to standing. Stretching out those arms, reaching up, lifting the chest. And exhale the thumbs to the center of the chest. Bring the hands to the sides. We'll come back into mountain pose. One breath here. Then we're going to come into some half lifts. But before that, let's just come into the forward fold. So bring the chin to the chest. The arms are heavy, the upper body heavy. We're going to roll forward really slowly. Come all the way to the ground. Bend the knees a little bit. And then just shake the head yes and no to make sure the neck is loose. Bend your knees as much as you need to bring the hands all the way to the mat. And then grab opposite elbows. Swing a little bit from side to side. Feel that really nice release between the shoulder blades and in the neck. And make sure the breath is long and even. One more breath. And then walk your fingertips forward. Bring the palms to the mat. Make sure your hands are shoulder width apart, fingers spread. And then walk the feet back. We're coming into downward dog, so the hips stay lifted. Make sure the feet are hip width apart. And the knees are bent slightly. So we really want to press into the hands, really bring some energy into the arms. And make sure the head's loose. Shake the head yes and no, just to make sure the neck is loose. And then with your next inhale, we're going to come forward into plank. So that means the shoulders are coming over the wrists. You might need to stretch out the legs a little bit. But the thighs are engaged, heels reaching backwards, crown of the head reaching forwards, And then we're going to slowly lower all the way to the mat. You can always bring your knees down first. And exhale, lower, elbows facing the back of the mat. Press the tops of the feet in the mat. Press the pubic bone in the mat and lift up in the chest, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Remember, we're really working in the lower back, so we have barely any weight in the hands. Exhale, come back down, curl the toes under, come back to the knees, and back into plank. And right away, lift the hips into downward facing dog. Knees slightly bent. And we're going to walk our dog. So that means what we did last time. We're going to exhale, straighten one leg, bend the other deeply. And then inhale, change, and exhale, bring the opposite heel towards the mat, bend the other knee deeply. And then change. Try to connect the movement with the breath. One more time on each side. And then come into a neutral position. Inhale forward into plank. Shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, slowly lower. Elbows facing towards the back of the mat. Tops of the feet on the mat. Press the feet into the mat. Press the pubic bone into the mat. Lift the chest. The back of the neck is long. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, come to the knees, back into plank. And exhale, lift the hips into down dog. So here we're going to build in the mini sequence, starting with warrior 1 and warrior 2 on the right side, and then moving into the left side. So inhale, pick up the right foot, bring the knee towards the nose. And that you might only get this far, which is fine. Just use your hand to scoot the foot forward. Bring the left heel to the mat. We're going to set up some warrior 1 feet. So scoot the left foot maybe a bit to the left side, the right a bit to the right. Draw the legs together so that we have a really stable base. And then inhale, bring the upper body into warrior 1 with the hands on the hips. Make sure your stance is right for you. And then draw the left hip point forward, right hip point back, trying to square the hips. And then inhale the arms up. Draw the baby fingers in a little bit, roll the shoulders down the back. 2 breaths here. Adjust at any time. And then with your next exhale, bring the right hand forward, left hand back. We're opening into warrior 2. So again, adjust the stance if you need to. Open up that back foot. Bring the right foot in a little bit. Make sure that the front heel is in line with the back arch. And then if this feels all right, maybe sink a little bit deeper. Reaching the fingertips in opposite directions. And make sure that the chest doesn't come too far forward. We want the chest directly over the hips. One more breath. And exhale, bring the hands back to the mat. We're going to rotate the left heel away from the mat. Bring the right foot back. We're in plank position. Exhale, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the toes, bring the tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift in baby cobra. Exhale, press back to the knees. Plank and down dog. So we're going to do the same sequence now on the left side. Inhale, lift the left foot up. Draw the knee towards the nose. And then bring the foot towards between the hands. If it doesn't get all the way there, you can use your hand to scoot it on up. Bring the right heel to the mat. Check your stance. Make sure you have enough space for the hips. So that means you can move the left foot a little bit to the left, right foot a little bit to the right. Inhale, upper body comes up, hands to hips. We're going to rotate the right hip point forward, left hip point back. Inhale, draw the arms up. Make sure the breath is even and steady. Remember, we can always come into child's pose or take a break. One more breath. And with your next exhale, bring the left hand forward, palm facing down, right hand back. Check the stance. We can open up the back foot, maybe scoot the left foot to be more in a line with the back arch. And find your warrior two. Check the front knee. Remember, that has a tendency to come inwards. We want to pull it back directly over the ankle. And we want to see the big toe of the front foot. Let the shoulders relax. One more breath. And then exhale, bring both hands to the mat. Rotate the right heel away from the mat. Step the left foot back. And we're going to exhale, slowly lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the toes, tops of the feet on the mat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, come back down. Curl the toes under. Come to the knees and into downward facing dog. So we just went through our first mini sequence. It can always be a little bit challenging to stay with the breath in the sequences, but really try to connect each movement with the breath. One more breath here. And exhale, bring the knees to the mat. Walk the hands back. We're going to come into child's pose. So bring the knees to the edge of the mat, big toes touching together behind you. And bring the hands out in front of you, palms facing down, forehead to the mat. Make sure your arms can relax here. The shoulders are really loose. We're reconnecting with the breath. Make sure that your inhales and exhales are really deep and even. And just let gravity do the work here. So the body's getting heavier and heavier with each exhale. And then walk your hands back. We're going to bring the knees together and come into the boat pose. So come to your sit bones. Make sure you can draw the flesh away from your sit bones because that's where we're going to balance. Bring the hands underneath the knees. Lift up into boat pose. And remember, keep your hands underneath your knees. If it works for you, you can also stretch the arms out. If the back rounds, then just keep the hands underneath the knees. That's a great place to work from. So we're just going to stay here for a couple breaths. And then bring the soles of the feet to the mat, the arms around the knees, forehead to the knees. One breath. And then come back to sitting. We're going to go right back into another boat pose. So bring the hands behind the knees, lift up the shins, reach the head towards the ceiling, and then maybe stretch out your fingers forward. Try to balance here. Couple more breaths, you can do it. And then bring the soles of the feet to the mat. The forehead comes to the mat. And we can hug the knees. And then come to sitting. Ooh, I just got a little cramp. I'm going to have to stretch that leg out. Okay, we're going to move into tabletop position. So Bring the feet about hip width apart, and they're parallel. And the fingertips are going to face towards the feet. So that might feel a little awkward. We'll try it out. If you need to, you can always do it this way with the fingertips facing backwards. So press the feet and the hands into the mat and then lift your hips up. We can look forward just beyond the knees. Try not to strain the neck too much, but you're going to feel a really nice stretch in the shoulders. And there's also a slight back bend here. And then exhale, the hips come back to the mat. Hug the knees in. And then bring the feet back into position for tabletop. And then lift the hips, press the hands into the mat. Ooh, we feel a really nice stretch in the shoulders. I love this one. Look over the knees. Lift the hips as high as you can. And then slowly lower. Hug the knees in. And then stretch the feet out. We're going to come into a twist. So this one's a new one. We're going to bring the we're going to bring the sole of the right foot to the outside of the left knee. We're crossing over the leg. We're sitting up really tall. You can bring the fingertips behind you to make sure the back is really long. The crown of the head's reaching towards the ceiling. And then we're going to bring the left arm around the right knee and twist towards the right. So we're twisting away from the foot. We don't need to go that deep here. Make sure with each inhale you're thinking long spine. With each exhale, maybe a bit deeper twist. We don't even need to use the arms that much here. Let's really work with the breath. And then come back to center. Sit up long and tall. And then kind of just let the knee fall in the direction of the mat. So we're crossing our legs like a number 4. The right ankle is right above the left knee, and the right foot is flexed. We're going to bring the left sole of the foot to the mat so that we have a nice hip stretch here. This is called thread the needle. So make sure the right foot is flexed. That's going to protect your right knee. You can adjust this pose. If it's too intense, you can move the left foot out a bit. If you want to intensify, you can move the left foot in. We're drawing the chest towards the shin and the knee away from the upper body. Couple more breaths. And then straighten out the left leg. We're going to switch sides. So the right leg comes to the mat. Left foot comes to the outside of the right leg, just next to the knee or a little higher. We're going to sit up straight. Bring the right arm around the left knee. And we're twisting towards the left. So we're not using the strength of the arms here too much. This hand is really just ensuring that we have a long spine. So really think inhale, long spine, exhale, maybe twist a little deeper. One more breath. Then come back to center. Let the left knee fall to the outside. We're creating a number 4 with the feet. Left foot's really flexed. We're protecting that knee. Right foot comes to the mat. Remember, you can adjust by moving a little bit out if you need to. Bring the fingertips to the mat. We're working the chest towards the shin, the knee away from the upper body. So you can probably really feel that nice stretch in the hips and thread the needle. It's a really, really great one. Breathe nice and deep and even. Even think about sending your breath to where you feel the stretch the most. And then slowly straighten out the right leg. Bring out the left next to it. Shake out the legs a little bit. We're going to come into a forward fold. Remember, when you're sitting up straight, your back caves, bend the knees. It's totally fine to bend the knees. So sit up tall. Remember, we want to hinge forward from the hips. So bring the hands to the side of the legs. We're going to walk the hands down. Really working with the breath here. So think, inhale, reach the head forward. And exhale, let everything get a little bit heavier. We really don't need to pull or push here. 2 more breaths. And then slowly walk the hands back. And now it's time for the final resting pose. Bring the feet to the sides of the mat, also known as corpse pose. So bring the feet to the side of the mat, let the toes fall open, and then we're just going to come to laying. Find a comfortable position. You might need to adjust a couple times, but once you've found the right place, then just try and stay there. Try not to play around with your shirt or with your pants. You can also remove your ponytail. That might be more comfortable for the head, if you have a ponytail. And then close the eyes. And try to just bring the awareness back to the breath. And maybe scan through the body, see if you have any places where you're holding tension. And try to let that go. One more breath. And then bring the soles of the feet to the mat, bend the knees, roll to the left side. And come to sitting. Find a comfortable seated position for you. Could be cross-legged, could be sitting on your knees. So, that's it for today. Again, if you want to practice corpse pose for longer, I really encourage you to do that. We're going to be doing that also later in some later longer classes. But it's been really fun, so please join me again next week for part 3. And I encourage you to share this with anybody if you feel like they could also benefit from a bit of yoga, which probably anyone could. So have a great day. Namaste.